Okay, so AI. It isn't just a technological revolution, you know? It's a profound mirror reflecting humanity itself. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're actually stepping away from the purely technical jargon, like forget the neural networks and processing power for a minute. Instead, we're going to explore a profoundly philosophical and historical perspective on artificial intelligence. We'll be drawing from Michael Bortoletto's really fascinating work, Poor New Creatures. And this isn't just a guide to software, it's a deep dive into humanity itself. It's an interdisciplinary approach that asks us to look at AI not just as a tool we've built, but as a reflection we're standing directly in front of.
Which brings us to a core question, really. Are we like them or are they like us? Now, I know it sounds like a sci-fi riddle, but it's actually rooted in our deepest psychology. See, since the dawn of humanity, basically as long as we've had memories and told stories around campfires, we have been completely obsessed with the other. We have this innate, millennia-old fear, and at the exact same time, this magnetic craving for an encounter with something completely different from us. Something that literally has the power to either elevate us or completely erase us from the planet.
Okay, let's dive into this first part, the encounter with the other, and the millennial fear of the unknown. So, to really understand our reaction to AI today, we actually have to look backward. Our entire history is a record of crossing spatial boundaries, venturing out into the unknown, and basically trying to cope with what we find out there. In the past, to deal with the terrifying unknown, we sort of confined it into categories. We gave faces to the other. We personified nature, we created pantheons of deities, we wrote stories about demons, and later on, aliens. We basically told ourselves that we possessed this unique, divine spark that made us special, that made us the absolute center of the universe. But the new other, artificial intelligence, well, it's completely devoid of emotion. And by mimicking our behaviors so perfectly through algorithms, AI is effectively proving that our supposedly unique divine spark might actually just be the result of environmental selective pressure. It totally strips away those beautiful stories we tell ourselves and shows us that, hey, we're basically just biological algorithms.
Moving on to section 2, pulling the mask off the monster, or as it's brilliantly called, the Scooby-Doo effect. Now, I know that last point sounds incredibly heavy, but Bortoletto uses this amazing pop culture analogy to completely demystify this whole existential crisis. Think about literally every classic episode of Scooby-Doo. The gang is terrified of some swamp monster or a phantom, but at the end of the episode, what happens? They pull the mask off the monster, and it's never a supernatural entity, right? It's always just Old Man Withers from the amusement park. And AI is exactly the same thing. We are terrified of this omnipotent, alien intelligence, but when you finally pull the mask off the algorithm, you don't find a god. You find us. You find our data, our history, our biases, and our flaws just sitting right there in the chair. It resembles us far more than we care to admit.
So what does this all mean? How do we actually survive an encounter with an other that is essentially just a hyperpowered reflection of ourselves? Well, Bortoletto looks at human groups throughout history that actually survived encounters with overwhelming foreign forces. And spoiler alert, they didn't survive by ignoring the problem, and they didn't survive by trying to annihilate the other either. They survived through really concrete actions, things like integration, erecting precautions, setting super clear boundaries, engaging in dialectics, and spreading awareness. Because honestly, just getting a tattoo that says resilience and hoping for the best, that isn't going to cut it. Resilience is passive. Surviving the AI transition requires active, deliberate steps.
All right, section 3, acceleration and emergent behaviors and the limit of the human brain. Now, executing those survival steps is really hard, mostly because we are literally fighting our own biology here. This is the core cognitive difficulty we face today, actually grasping unprecedented emergent behaviors. See, we evolved in a hostile but largely stable world. If a predator is running right at you, your brain is incredibly good at calculating linear velocity. It moves at this speed, it'll reach me in 5 seconds, I need to run, right? It's a straight, totally predictable line. But AI doesn't move in a straight line at all. AI evolution is characterized by constant acceleration and stochastic performance, meaning it plateaus, it seems to not be improving much at all, and then bam, it crosses a critical threshold and its capabilities just explode exponentially overnight. We simply aren't hardwired to comprehend that kind of sudden vertical leap in capability. Which brings us to section 4, the danger of division. And this brilliantly illustrates a vital lesson from history. Because when we face something we can't fully comprehend, something that possesses immense power, history shows us exactly what goes wrong. There's a tragic but absolutely vital lesson regarding the Amerindian tribes of present-day Canada.
When these tribes faced the overwhelming, technologically advanced powers of the British and the French, what happened? Well, the tribes didn't unite. Instead, they fractured. Some allied with the French, others with the British. And the result? They ended up slaughtering each other out of loyalty to foreign powers across the ocean. The party with the greater power totally divided the weaker party. Had the tribes remained cohesive, their odds of survival would have been far, far better. Today, humanity is the weaker party facing a rapidly accelerating, highly powerful other. If we divide ourselves over AI, if nations or corporations use it to destroy each other rather than remaining cohesive, we are going to face the exact same fate.
And that leads right into Section 5, the art of knowing oneself, which serves as a final warning. Right now, the power is still actually in our hands, but we are rapidly approaching the absolute climax of this technological era. We are facing an entity that perpetually listens to us, an entity that draws from literally everything greedy, perverse, and dark that resides within humanity. And this brings us to a profound philosophical solution, perfectly captured by Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Quote, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, your victory is sure." End quote. This ancient wisdom has literally never been more relevant. If AI is the ultimate mirror feeding on our shadows and our fragilities, then ignorance of our own flaws is a weapon we are basically handing directly to the machine. Profound self-knowledge is our only real shield here. We have to understand our own darkness before we code it permanently into silicone.
Which leaves us with this one final, absolutely crucial question. AI isn't an alien invasion. It is a manifestation of us. So is humanity truly ready to look into this digital mirror, to see all our flaws, our biases, and our magnificent complexities reflected back at exponential speed without blinking? Because knowing ourselves might just be the only way we survive what comes next. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll leave you to ponder that reflection.